Hello, I'm Lloyd Grubb and I'm going to be doing a cooking demonstration for you, and I'm making some tofu. This tofu I'm making is going to be used for something like a substitute for like your chicken breast. You can make it to use in your salads. You can make it to use as part of your sandwich filling. And so this tofu is basically a mainstay, a staple of what I use when I'm cooking and eating, and I can use it also in certain similar things like stir fry and other things like that. And so basically I'm going to be showing you how I cook some tofu, and I'm going to be showing you now how I'm going to be using our product, which is Recipes Made Easy seasoning blend. It's an all-purpose seasoning blend, and with this seasoning blend I'll be able to season the tofu and make it taste real great. But I'm going to show you the process I go through in making the tofu. And so the first thing we start off with is some tofu. Most naturally I'm going to be frying some tofu, so I'll start off with some tofu. And what I have here is a plastic bag with some tofu. Now this tofu is frozen, so I would normally freeze it from the night before, or when I buy the tofu I'll get the fresh pack of tofu, which I have some right here, and I'll get the fresh pack of tofu and I'll cube it, and I'm going to show you how I go through that process. Very simple process, but I want to cut it up and show you how I cube the tofu and freeze it. And so you might be asking, why would I freeze the tofu? And the reason I'll be freezing the tofu is because I want the tofu, when I'm sauteing it or fry it or baking it, to be porous, so that the seasoning is brought into the middle of the tofu with the oil, and so that it'll be very flavorful. I want it very flavorful. So when you freeze the tofu, it breaks it up and it makes it very porous, and it gives it a harder texture so it doesn't crumble easily. And so I'll be able to saute it and it'll come out in nice cubes, and it'll be very flavorful. The seasoning that I have in the Recipes Made Easy seasoning blend will get right through into the tofu. So this is why we're doing this, and this is why you're going to do it just the way I'm doing it here. So my first step I'm going to go into is not your first step, but it will be the first step that you're going to. You will take the frozen tofu out of the freezer after you've cubed it. I'm going to show you in a second how I cube it, but I want it to be thawing out while I'm teaching you or showing you how I prep it. So first thing I'll do, normally the first thing you do when you take it out of the fridge, I'm going to show you how I put it in the fridge. But now I'm going to add some warm water to it or hot water to it to melt it so I can saute it. And so, you know, you take it out of the fridge, you turn on the water as hot as you can, and you put it on tofu. I normally do it about twice. The first time just to get off some of the ice, and the second time I'll do it just to make it soak a little bit for a few minutes to thaw it out thoroughly. And I'm showing you this in real time because I want to show you how quick this process is and how fast you can be able to prepare something that is the main part of a dish. Especially if you're doing something like a stir fry, you'll be able to do this real quickly. And so I drain it off one time. I get out most of the cold out of the bag, and then I'm going to drain it a second time. I'm going to put some more water into it a second time, and this will get it nice and hot, and it will be able to thaw pretty quickly. And so I'm doing this here, as you can see, just get it nice and hot there. It'll melt all the ice real quickly so that we can be able to start sauteing. And I'm going to go to the step that I would do before I would start the sauteing process. So, you know, I get it here, and almost like you're going to an aquarium or some fish pet store. You bought some fish, I put it in there and I leave it in there. So instead of having pet fish in the bag, I have some tofu cubed up and ready to go. And here I have a fresh pack of tofu. This is one I buy at the Asian supermarket. It's organic tofu, and basically I'll take the pack. Normally it's about a 16-ounce pack, and I will go right in ahead and drain it. So I'll cut the pack open, I'll drain it for a few minutes. And then after I've drained the pot for a few minutes, ignore me scratching there, I will cut it open and I'll cube it. And so hopefully here you can get a shot of what I'm doing to a certain degree. I know you're kind of far away, but I'll normally just cut it in half. Then I cut it in four, almost in a longitudinal way. And then normally take that half, cut it in three. Hopefully you can get some of this. And then I'll cut it up and cube it up into small, less than half inch, slightly less than half inch cubes. And that's how I normally do the tofu. So I'm cubing it, and hopefully that was clear enough to you. and basically just cut it in cubes. So I cut it in 4 longitudinally, then I cut it in 3. It's basically simple. Then I go right in ahead and just cube it, so I have a lot of cubes. And then I'm going to step out of the camera shot for 1 second because I need to grab some a plastic bag so I can put them in, and just showing you that process in a second. And so here, you could have heard that, right? So I'm back, so I grab a bag, and so normally I do about 2 packs at a time, but I'm just cubing 1 pack just because of the demonstration. And I'll put it in the plastic bag. It could be a Ziploc bag, it could be a 1 gallon bag, and you could get probably about 3 in the 1 gallon bag. And I'll go right on ahead and I close that and I tie wrap it. And so you'll have your tofu in your bag, and you could put bags upon bags similar to what you do like chicken, but the difference is just tofu cubed. You could cut it almost like you're going to do sandwiches, melt it, and you could do the same thing. And what it will do when you freeze it, it will basically crystalline the whole tofu and make it very porous when you thaw it back out. And so after it's thawed, it would be nice and open up to great to absorb the seasoning and the flavors that you want, so it can be very rich in flavor. And so I put this in the fridge, and I'll leave it there, kind of throw it on in there. I leave it there and it'll freeze overnight or freeze within a few hours, and it'll be ready to saute. And so that's my first step that I'll go through, and then I'll move on to my next step. So the next step now is that I want to be able to just simply saute, on average, eat the tofu. And I'm going to saute it. Now what I'm doing here now is I already turned on my fire, my heat. There's no fire there, my electrical heat. Using some coconut oil. Now coconut oil will take heat at about up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So it'll take a high heat, so it's more stable. And so if I'm doing anything like frying bacon, I prefer to use coconut oil. Now one thing you have to remember with coconut oil, this coconut oil is not extra virgin. You can see it's a little bit on the cream side in color, creamish in color, is that it is heat treated. And so because it's heat treated, it's going to have a kind of slightly roasted coconut flavor, which will add to the flavor of the tofu. So I like to do my tofu with coconut oil, and this coconut oil I buy from the Indian supermarket. And so with that, it's a nice flavor add. It'll enhance the flavor and give it a little bit more tropical flavor to it. And so I normally use some coconut oil to saute. You probably can use for about a pack of tofu. You probably could be using about I would say probably 2 tablespoons, the most probably a tablespoon. And so you use some coconut oil here, and we put the coconut oil in as the fire gets going, and as the heats get going, and that's simply it. And then we're gonna take our tofu that we had thawed out, should be ready to go. I'm showing you, I'm doing this in real time because I want to show you how quick you can get this as a sandwich fillet. So if you have some bread already and you have a salad, you're ready to go. Within a few minutes, you basically have tofu that's ready to go. Because remember, tofu is processed with heat already, so you don't have to take a lot of time with the tofu to get it right. I prefer to do it in a plastic bag. Somebody probably asked me, why would you do the tofu in a plastic bag? Because I can able to squeeze the bag when it's thawed, and I can able to get out most of the water. And whatever water I don't get out of, now I can actually handle the tofu and squeeze it, and it won't crumble in my hand. I'll show you in a second. Tofu will be nice and hard still. So I squeeze out the water out of the tofu, and just coming up here for a little close shot so you can see, hopefully you can see the tofu. I don't know if I can bring in 2 pieces of it that you can see how it becomes like porous. I don't know if the camera can do a good focus on that, but so I'm just showing you. And then with this tofu, as you see, it becomes like a sponge. So notice I'm squeezing it, and the tofu is still a cube. It didn't break because of the the freezing process, it changes the constitution of the tofu. And so because of that, I can actually squeeze out the rest of the water out of it, add it to the frying pan, and I can saute it down at a reasonable heat. Now I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit because of the sake of time to make our process go. And you just add it in. So I get all the water out because I want it to be as dry as possible. I don't want it to be wet because I don't want it to have water in it. What I want it to have is the oil, the coconut oil, which is going to carry the coconut flavor. And what I want to have is the seasoning, the recipe made easy seasoning blend. I want it to be that inside of it. So when you're chewing it, you're not going to come to a part that is bland without any heavy taste. You want to have it, the whole thing to be seasoned well through and have a real powerful taste that you're going to really enjoy it. And you know, I tell people when you cook like this and you eat this, you realize that this is superior to anything else you can eat, because tofu is one of the few things you can eat and you can get the real flavors coming out in a very powerful way. So finishing up the process here, as you can see, my fire is going and ready to go. So here I have all my tofu in, and I'm going to be sauteing that at medium to low heat. I want to be able to get the heat going, and normally, you know, as you know the thing go, I'll turn on the fan to kind of exhaust it so I don't smell like coconut when I leave, coconut oil. But because you're not going to be able to hear me properly, I'm just going to leave that there and keep going with the process. So normally, this is the other thing that you have to remember when you're cooking and using this process, because the tofu now has become like a sponge. Not only will it suck up all the flavors from the seasoning, but also it will draw into itself also all the oil. So I limit the oil just enough to make it that I can get it brown on either side, and I saute it like that. Most naturally, I got the heat up so I could get it going, but I turn it down as we're going forward. And I'll saute this just for a little bit. It don't have to be as long as I probably would do it if I'm doing it at home, because you can do it mild. Basically, you could probably do it for another 2 minutes and you'll be done. And you throw in the flavor, the seasoning, and you're done. Or you can do it a little bit more if you want it crisp. The reason why you could do it so that it's real crisp, if you're going to use it like in stir fry, anything that there's going to be some moisture, you'll probably want to do it where it's real crisp, it's very, very hard. Or if you're going to do it where you use it similar to croutons in your salad. So if you want a salad and you don't want to have any type of carbs, you just want to have some protein and salad like your lettuce and carrots and stuff, you could just do it real hard, and you do it a little bit longer and dry it out. And then what we'll do is that says you'll be able to just add a nice addition to your salads. If you're using it as a sandwich, again, it depends what type of sandwich you're doing. If you want a sandwich to be very moist or to be very dry, then it depends how long you do it. So again, it's already there, it's already cooked. We're not gonna do it very hard. We're gonna do it until it's a little bit brown. Now you're probably wondering why haven't I added anything else yet to it. I haven't added no seasoning or anything like that, because remember, with the recipes made easy, everything is in the seasoning in the bottle. So all your salts, all your different peppers, everything is here. So all you're doing is adding this towards the end and then you turn it off. It's a very light, easy process. It makes your cooking easy because all the flavor is there and you're always exact, because all the exact measurement is already done for you. And so normally I estimate it's about a tablespoon for 1 pack of tofu. So I'm just doing 1 16-ounce pack of tofu. I just add 1 tablespoon of the recipe made easy and I'm done. And remember, you can, if you want to really get the tofu dry, one of the ways you can do it also is you can just use a spatula and go ahead and press out all the fluid out. And you can see, probably you can't see through this, but you can see the evaporation of the fluid. The fluids are out, and then the oils can be the only thing that is there. And so that when you transfer in the seasoning will get right into the core of the tofu, and it will give you a nice even flavor. It will make the flavors pop more and be more pungent, and that's where you want. And right there, we're just about done. Right there, we're just about done. I think I got out most of my fluid out, and what we're left back with is just oil. And it depends on how much oil you want to put in. That depends on how much you use. And so I have my seasoning here. I'm going to just put in 1 tablespoon of the Recipes Made Easy. Alright, get a tablespoon in. And I just put it evenly over it. You get all your flavors here. As I say, with Recipes Made Easy, it's all natural, no MSG, nothing harmful. And more or less, we're done. Alright, I'll turn the heat down a little bit more. More or less, we're done. And as I say, you know, oil goes down easier and makes it taste nicer. So normally, you know, you can stop right there. It's very dry at that point. If you don't want it as dry, you can add a little bit more oil to it. Sorry for the spills here. Just a little excitement. And you add some more oil to make sure that you transfer all the seasoning inside of it. And very simple recipe. Very simple recipe. I just taste it one time with a fork here so that I can be able to taste it. I turn off my stove. Excellent. It's perfect. And just to make sure, I just press it one more time just to make sure that all the seasoning got into the inside. And basically that's your tofu. That's your tofu right there. I'll bring it over in a second for you to be able to see. And it only takes a few minutes. I could literally have, I'll just go ahead and put everything into the little plate that we have here. I could literally do it much more. Could spend a few more minutes turning the heat down lower. You can turn it down lower. I had the heat up a little bit high because again, we're doing a demonstration. I wanted to go by fast, but it's really done. Everything is done right here. The whole process, you know, takes a few minutes. I'm showing you how fast it's done. And with this, you have the tofu still cubed. I'll go down a little bit more, bring it up, so I'm in frame. But the tofu is still cubed. You can, as I say, do it on a lower flame. You know, I'm not using a flame here. I'm using an electric stove, but you can do it on a lower flame. And when you're doing it on a lower flame, what will happen is that it'll dry it out slower, and you can get it harder. And then it'll be good even as using it, as I say, on your salads. This is great for sandwich at this point because it's still soft, delicate enough that can be used in a sandwich. It is still together. As you notice, the tofu did not crumble, but because the tofu is porous, it will bring all the favorites inside of the middle of the tofu, which is something what some people don't like. Tofu has a bland taste in the middle, even when you're deep fried, which is not what we're doing here. But notice I didn't take long to fry. This is a good addition. The flavor is gonna pop. The flavor is gonna be excellent. You know, if you're a person that don't like too much salt, then you probably back off a little bit off it, because you know, if you have some type of high blood pressure or something like that, if you need more salt than what's there, you can add more of the Recipes Made Easy, and this will make a nice addition. Now if you were going to do something like stir fry, which in the future I'll show you how. Now I'll take this and now add it to some rice and some mixed vegetables and some fresh vegetables and saute it a little bit in a few minutes, and your recipe is finished. The longest thing it will take is just to cook the rice. And so this excellent flavor, great taste, and you'll be able to do it in a few minutes. This is a big deal. The big deal is here is Recipes Make Easy. Few minutes and you have an excellent tasting dish ready to go. In the future, we're going to do more cooking like this, and we're going to do some more complex dishes, starting off with some simple dishes that are the baseline dishes, and then we'll be adding more. So remember, you can go to elandvineyard.com and you can order the Recipes Made Easy and other supplements, herbal supplements from healingvineyard.com. You know, come on over, check us out, look at what we have. We're intending to continue to develop and to be able to offer great products for you, that you can be able to have a healthier lifestyle, and you can continue to be taking care of yourself and not with too much trouble. So again, check us out, Recipes Made Easy. It's there over there on healingvineyard.com. God bless and thanks for watching.